I had the wrong slider up. So you're gibbering away, and no wonder I couldn't hear you. I'm a complete plonker, Rodney.
Oh, there you go.
I'm a complete plonker.
There you go. It happens.
So introduce yourself, sir. Introduce yourself.
Technical difficulties. Introduce myself. I am Stephen Jones, also known as the Business Disruptor.
Yes, and other things to other people. But there we go. We won't talk about that.
Yeah, I've been called a lot worse, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know.
And today you catch me. I'm actually sitting downstairs in the offices. This is normally the thriving estate agency, as you can see from the wall.
Oh, yeah. Good for radio.
Because, yeah, well, I can see you, so I think everybody can see me.
No, we can actually. We're videoing this as well, so don't worry. It's being video.
I'm downstairs in the estate agency because yesterday I took the entire day. I spent it at home because I was getting a delivery.
Yeah.
Now, we all know how good delivery drivers are. There are apps out there. I've got trucks coming to the house. I can see where it is. It tells me how many minutes, how many stops before they get to my house. I can jump in the car, get home, be there for when they arrive. But not UPS. And I wouldn't normally call them out by name, but honestly. So 10 till 2:15 will be at your house. 2:15 rocks around, no sign of anybody. So I go and collect the children from school, as one is tempted to do from time to time. And whilst I'm at school, they try and deliver it at 3:15.
Yeah.
So when I called them up to complain, they said, well, it could be there any time. I said, well, why do you send me a window? Well, because that's the estimated time.
Yeah.
Well, you need to make that clear, really, don't you? Because when you tell me we're going to be at my house between 10 and 2:15, I kind of assume that means you're going to be at my house between 10 and 2:15, not an hour afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they're normally pretty accurate.
They were really helpful. They said, well, why don't you stay at home again tomorrow? Miss a whole nother day of work, and hopefully we'll manage to get to you by a certain time, which we can't guarantee, remember, because we can't guarantee we'll be there. So after lots of backwards and forwards, and a very nice man from their Cardiff office called me, and they've agreed to deliver it at the office in this exceptional circumstance, because obviously it's very rude of me to just not want to spend all day at home waiting for them to arrive. It's rather inconsiderate of me. It's only a new MacBook, an iMac, so it's not nothing important.
No, you don't need it. Good.
Customer service, guys. Look after your customers.
Yeah, exactly. I normally see DPDs are quite good because they normally deliver to Sainsbury's and places like that, so you can have it dropped off to a local place. So anyway, business wise, then, what's rocking? What's popping and rocking? What we doing? What we talking about today, then, fella?
I look for inspiration from people. So I normally say to people, what's the biggest thing holding you back? What's the biggest challenge you face in business? What's your biggest obstacle in sales? And try and get something live to work with rather than just a made up. This is what we're going to talk about today.
Well, we'll try. What we'll try and do then, we will start posing a question in the week, and maybe on your Facebook group, and people, you could respond to it there, and they can get the joys of your knowledge.
I'm sure one of your two listeners out there owns a business. And if anybody out there owns a business and struggles in any way, even if it's one of your sponsors, it doesn't matter. I'm a bit of a weird one in that I didn't buy a franchise to become a business advisor.
Yeah.
I had my first company when I was a kid, and I've been running businesses in about 14 different countries ever since. And I've been a corporate advisor to large corporates. So I've seen a lot of people come and go in the business. I've seen a lot of advisors who just read it out of a book. I'm a bit weird like that because I've actually been out there living it, doing it. So, the last Power Hour, I think I put a testimonial up last week. The guy came on for 1 hour. We had a chat because he was going out to see a big client for the first time. He was a bit nervous. He wasn't sure how to approach it. We created an approach. We systemized it. We made him comfortable with it. He went out. He nailed the contract.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it. I think it was a 25 grand contract to go and work with them in the IT sector, help them with running their IT. And then they said, you've done such a good job of that, and we like you so much, why don't you come and refit our entire building for us for another 35 grand?
Nice.
So turning £100 into 60 grand, that's what I do.
Yeah. I like it, mate. Yeah.
Over coffee.
Over coffee or a vodka or whatever. But yeah, I think one of the biggest issues facing businesses, especially small businesses, is finding those customers in it and actually identifying who they should be focusing on and making that initial initial contact and getting, because after a while, if you've got a product that everyone wants, like your MacBooks, like you just mentioned before, then they pretty much don't really need to advertise much, do they? Because I want a computer. What do I want? Do I want Windows, or do I want Mac or Mac?
Yeah.
Right. Which flavour of Mac would I like? Which one I want? And so when you get a product that's like that, then the advertising doesn't need to be as much. But I think when you're a smaller business, it needs to be more intense. Would you agree or disagree? Or
Yeah, I think you've hit a nail on the head there, in that sales has changed. So I'm writing a book at the moment, and I talk a bit in there about the history of sales and how there was an actual snake oil salesman that turned up in the States and started selling this stuff, and other people copied it, and that was kind of the birth of the sham. And then IBM came along and they processed it, and they made it all about process, because they were computer people.
Yeah.
But the nature of it has changed because, as we said, that MacBook Pro, I've been a Mac user now since probably the late noughties. My daughter was born in 2006. Yes, so sort of 2008. And I wouldn't go back to Windows. There's a Windows machine next to me on the desk. They're just horrible. I don't like them. But for me, I'm getting a new computer. I'll go online, I'll look at the options, and I'll choose what I want to buy.
Yeah.
I don't need a salesman to come out and tell me what a computer does for me. I don't need him to sit there and show me the benefits of it and the features and the advantages and why that's going to benefit me, which is the old way of selling. And I think a lot of the sales training systems and a lot of the sales people are stuck in that old way of, here's the feature, this is the advantage to you, and this is the benefit to you. And the guys are sitting there thinking, I know all that. I've been online for half an hour. I've got all that information.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for me?
Yeah.
Because people buy people. So you're right. It's about finding your target market. There's a lot of talk out there at the moment about your ideal client avatar.
Yeah.
And I've been on some of these because I check out the competition. I've been on some of these 5-day masterminds where they spend an entire day getting you to draw them and say, what car they drive and whether they pick up the kids from swimming on a Thursday or a Friday. And no,
or they're waiting for parcels that don't arrive. But yeah, that's another. That's
Monday
my target market. These people have to stay home all day. But go on.
So you've got two target markets. You've got an audience target market and you've got a sponsor target market.
Yeah, correct.
So you're in a very different situation to a lot of companies. You're providing a product to listeners, and your funding for that comes from sponsors who want to target those listeners.
Correct. Yeah.
So you're in a very different niche to most. But yeah, the ideal client avatar. If you want a niche, which you should, that's great. But if you don't have any clients and you haven't really sold anything yet, it doesn't matter if she's Mary and she's 37 and and she likes to wash her hands with perfume soap. You need to know, okay, I'm a plumber, for example. I need to speak to people who own a house, who have plumbing issues. Yeah. If I'm a private dentist, I want to speak to people with private medical insurance.
Yeah.
Who can afford my services.
Yeah.
Or very wealthy people who can just afford to pay for my fees. A state agency, which I'm sitting in at the moment, they need to speak to people that either want to buy or sell a house. It's not difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what they look like. I don't care how old they are. I don't care where they hang out on Facebook, particularly. I just need to know they want to buy or sell a house.
Yeah.
And the first question estate agents ask when you walk in the door, which is where everybody else running their own small business goes wrong, is what's your budget?
Yeah.
What budget are we walking? Now, if you walked into a shoe shop and said, hi, I'd like to buy some shoes, and the guy turned around to you and said, oh, what sort of budget are we working with? You're not going to be offended, but nobody does that.
No.
They do in America.
You're right, because when I first got back on a motorbike a few years ago, I went to try some clothing on because I didn't have any. Got loads of it now. And one of them was boots. And the guy was really good because I tried a pair of boots on that were, I don't know, let's just pick a figure. They were 70 quid, I think they were. And I put them on and they were the most uncomfortable things I've ever put on my feet in my life. And he turned around and says, I need something that I can walk around in, mate. I need something that that feel like shoes and boots. And you know what I mean? Feel like a pair of shoes. He went, well, what do you want to go up to? What do you want to spend? I says, well, not over 200 quid. Anything below that, I'll probably be all right with it. As if they're comfy, I'll pay it. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I got a pair for 170 quid. My neighbour, when I come home, went, how much have you paid for a pair of boots? I said, 170 quid, mate. I looked down at his £1,000 shoes that he had on, brogues, £1,000 they cost him, and he's questioning my £170 motorcycle boots. The numpty.
Wow.
Yeah.
But designed to protect your ankles if you fall off, of course.
Well, the comfort though, because you get off and you want to walk around, you can get a cheap pair that'll protect your ankles. But if you want to do more than 3 steps off your bike, which you do, don't you? You know what I mean? You want to have a wander around. You want to go somewhere, walk around. Well, you need something that's comfortable, don't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, but you're right. Yeah.
I think that's a good example right there. Now, I personally, in that situation, if you'd said 170, if you'd said anything under 200, I'd have shown you a crappier pair at about 150. I'd have shown you a really good pair at about 210. I'd have shown you an amazing pair at 1,000.
Yeah.
Look, I know this is way out of your comfort zone, but these are the best on the market. You've got to see them, at least see them and try them on once.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the cheap ones at 150, and you go, like those ones in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've just got 10 quid over your budget.
Exactly, but you're right. I think that's
packages of 3.
I think that's the cracking thing, because it's a bit like us trying to sell advertising on the station. I think a lot of people expect it to be really expensive. We have various packages. We don't need to go into that, but we have starting from £45 right up to several £100s a month. Not as expensive as people think, but I think the misconception a lot of time is people are scared. It's a bit like the old adage, isn't it? If you go to some shops in the window, and one of my work colleagues years ago used to say something, and they had all these lovely things in the shop window and not a single price. And he went, if you need to ask the price, Kirk, you cannot afford it.
Yeah. I many moons ago, my first job after university was selling advertising space. And I was at a Ferrari dealership when that question was asked and answered in just that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much does it cost to fill the petrol tank? And how long does it last? You have to ask.
How much is the service, mate? If you can't afford that, then it's for time to give it up. Listen, I'm gonna crack on my show and leave you to it, because you've obviously lost
some music. People don't want to listen to me waffling on all day.
No, we don't, mate. We don't. We've had enough of your already. People have already switched off. Where can people find you if they want to get hold of you? Facebook.
Stephen Jones or the Business Disruptor.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that, mate. I didn't ask you, is there any particular track you'd like playing, or you're not bothered?
Not very bothered. I like most music. Something by Prince.
So, Prince? Oh, that's Jared likes that from the Funk Show. He's always playing Prince and the Revolution.
About once a month, I'll rewatch that. It's like a little mini documentary about when he was doing the Super Bowl, and it was for the first time ever peeing down with rain. Went, do you want to not go on? He went, no, I want to go on. But make sure all the lights go purple when I do Purple Rain.
Oh, do you know what? That is exactly the track that I've just lined up when you started to mention Rain, because I thought I'm going to be smart ass here, and I'm going to make it topical.
No, so he turned what was, and that's a very good life lesson right there. He took what was probably the worst event ever he's been at and made it his Super Bowl.
Right. Cool.
Because Prince sang Purple Rain in Purple Rain.
Can't
get any better than that, can you?
No. Right, well, I'm going to let you go on with your day. Thanks very much.
No problem.
And,
I'm just watching the door for UPS to walk through.
Yeah, give him a slap.
That's all I'm doing.
Give him a slap. See you later, buddy.
Right. Hey, take care.
Where's that gone now? Right, that's absolutely bizarre. I've just moved it up. Where's Purple Rain? There we go. As if by magic. Now, Stephen Jones, go and check him out, people. Go and